right, these are some pretty chilling words from a Coast Guard officer accused of plotting mass murder. Quote, "I'm dreaming of a way to kill almost every last person on Earth." 49-year-old Christopher Hassan is in a Maryland federal district courtroom right now, facing initial charges that relate to his stockpile of guns and illegal drugs. But prosecutors say that is just the tip of the iceberg. CNN's Jessica Schneider has some of these really jaw-dropping details.
Court documents providing chilling details about a Coast Guard lieutenant who prosecutors say hoped to murder innocent civilians on a scale rarely seen in this country before being arrested in Maryland last week. 49-year-old Christopher Hassan is facing federal charges of illegal possession of a firearm and possession of a controlled substance. But prosecutors say these charges are just the tip of the iceberg, writing, "The defendant is a domestic terrorist bent on committing acts dangerous to human life that are intended to affect government conduct." Investigators say they found this hit list on Hassan's computer, containing names of prominent Democrats, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as well as a number of 2020 Democratic candidates, including Senators Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and Kirsten Gillibrand. The list also containing the names of several journalists from CNN and MSNBC. Federal agents say they found 15 firearms and more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition in Hassan's Maryland apartment, in addition to a stockpile of steroids the government says Hassan was using to increase his ability to conduct attacks. In emails outlined in court filings, Hassan calls himself a white nationalist and was inspired by a manifesto written by Anders Breivik, a Norwegian terrorist convicted of killing 77 people in 2011. Prosecutors say roughly a month before his arrest, Hassan Googled topics including, "Are Supreme Court justices protected? Where do most senators live in D.C.? And civil war if Trump impeached."
Jessica Schneider, thank you so much. Now, as I mentioned, Christopher Hassan is in a Maryland courtroom right now. The story of this Coast Guard officer and his alleged manifesto has raised a lot of troubling questions, though, particularly this one. Were there any red flags specifically on this man? Court documents reveal Hassan described himself as a white nationalist, harbored extremist views for years. So you think, didn't anyone in the military pick up on that? Also, given his military service, could PTSD be a factor in what we're seeing from him here? Prior to becoming an acquisitions officer with the Coast Guard in 2016, he served in the Marine Corps from 1988 to 1993, spent about 2 years on active duty in the Army National Guard. Well, joining us now, CNN law enforcement analyst James Galliano. He is also, by the way, a retired supervisory special agent with the FBI. James, always so good to have you with us. So the charging documents show that he started buying guns back in 2017. With that, do you think the FBI would have been flagged at that point, 2017?
Just on the gun purchases themselves, no, Christy. There's no federal repository for all gun sales. And the way that some people try to work around amassing a collection, if you will, is that they buy them from different gun dealerships. So in this instance, he might have done that. He might have bought one weapon here, two here, one here, nothing that would have raised a red flag. And again, there's no central repository for that information.
All right, I want to ask you about his internet search history because it is disturbing. He was asking things such as, are Supreme Court justices protected? And where do most senators live in D.C.? Would searches like that have been flagged?
Well, here's the conundrum we live in. We live in a country with civil liberties and protections for privacy. So these are the things that we find after the fact because they're conducting searches on his social media usage. They're conducting searches on all his personal electronic devices. But because we have Fourth Amendment protections under the Constitution, the government can't just kick in a door and go in and start rifling through your online searches because we cherish those protections and those liberties. It's always chilling after the fact, but unless somebody else notifies the government of something that's untoward or something that's bordering on, in this case, domestic terrorism, the government would not have the ability to check out every corner and dark recess of the internet.
Well, no doubt about it. Hassan, we know, had this fascination with Anders Breivik. Remember the man who killed 77 people in Norway? That was back in 2011. We know that he read Breivik's manifesto online. What does that fascination with that man tell you about the one they're dealing with now?
So within the FBI, there's a unit called the Behavioral Analysis Unit. And what they do is they look at the common threads between perpetrators of either mass shootings or terror attacks. And I got to tell you, Christy, there is a common thread there. Many of them are fascinated by the evil and the depravity of folks that have gone before them. So in the mass shooting realm, people look at it and they say, well, this person killed 33, and then they set out to do more than that. So this doesn't surprise me. I'm sure more details of his fascination and any connection will come out in court documents, but doesn't surprise me at all. It fits the pattern.
James, is there any sense how close this man might have been to committing some sort of crime?
Yeah, that is the most pointed, important question you could ask, and here's why. When the FBI was alerted that something was afoot here, there is a fine line between, obviously you have to protect public interest, and you have to protect all those people that were on that hit list, if you will, but you also want to amass enough evidence to convict this person. Obviously, public safety is number one, so when they made the decision to make the arrest, they had gotten to a point where they felt that something could possibly be imminent. Secondarily is, then you want to make sure that you've got enough evidence collected to put this man away for the rest of his life.
James Galliano, your perspective is very valuable to us. Thank you for taking the time for us today.
Thanks for having me, Christy.
Absolutely.